Hey folks, we're back. Sean Farrell, CEO of QDS, and we're with one of our favorite partners, Five Star Credit Union. And today, we really wanted to do a catch-up video and see how it's been going. So Five Star started their ITM journey back in 2018 and then rolled forward with 3 new technology branches in 2019. And now as they approach 40 or 50 machines potentially before the end of this year, we really wanted to sit down with Tyler and understand, hey, what are some key lessons you've learned? What are some of the results you've gotten? What advice may you have for someone researching ITMs for the first time? And we'll see where it goes from there. So Tyler, thanks for joining us. So I guess to open, we're now almost 4 years into the program. What are some of the lessons you all have learned over this process?
Yeah, it's been a great journey so far. So we started this back in 2018, like you said. We rolled out 3 of our technology branches when we first did this, not fully understanding what we were jumping into. Yeah, so we've learned a lot. We've learned that members love the machines. We learned that the members' behavior is not quite what we thought it would be. We learned that some members like to come in, regardless of if there's a teller line, there's an ITM there. Members use them all hours of the day, which is interesting. We've learned that members will deposit more cash than take out. So they've been a great service for our members there all hours of the day to engage with them that way. We've learned how to better understand our business model and better understand the settings that we have in our system, how they work, how we need to tailor that to improve the member experience on the front line and engage with our members. We've even learned how to get better at risk rating our members and understanding the risk profile of our members. We've had some challenges along the way. We have some fraudsters out there, if you will, that we like to call our R&D department, research and development, because if there's a loophole in the system, they're going to find it. And so we've learned to act quickly inside our organization, to respond fast, and to make decisions quickly.
So when you even think about the staffing model or the impact of being able to invest in your people, what did you learn through that process? Like a lot of our clients, I would say their biggest obstacle to success is the fear of their staff more than member adoption. So what kind of did you learn through that process of getting staff on board, and how have you invested in those folks?
So that was interesting. So initially when we did it, staff was concerned that we were going to go through and replace all employees with machines, and not the case. So in our new locations, we roll out ITM machines only. In our existing locations, we retrofit the drive-throughs, not the inside. So we made a commitment to our staff that we're not going to retrofit the teller machines or the teller lines. And so that was to give them the comfort level that we're not coming through replacing employees with machines. So that helped the buy-in from the frontline staff. But it did take some time for people to actually interact with the machines to get comfortable with it. But once they realized that the machines are handling the transactions, the lower value type transactions, that they can invest more in the member, have the deeper conversations that we're asking them to have, invest in the members, and actually invest in themselves from a training and development standpoint. When we rolled these machines out, one of the things we noticed was the deeper relationship they had with the members actually improved our lending on the front line. They could focus on those loan conversations, and we were able to turn that switch and engage at a deeper level in deeper conversations with our members.
So now that the program has kind of matured, you went from kind of testing a concept with some of the, we'll call it the new form factor financial centers. What are you paying attention to now? Like when you look at either metrics or success criteria, what have been some of the wins that you would have on your brag board, so to speak?
So that's interesting, and it's really more of a journey. So we started out really focusing on the transactions that were done. So we looked in the industry at efficient credit unions. And so years ago, we found this really efficient credit union. They were using 2,500 transactions for a full-time teller to say that justified a teller. And so we mirrored that and said, okay, if it works for them, we're going to try that. So that was our justification for a full-time employee. So when we look to these machines and looking for the ITMs to bring efficiencies, they needed to do at least 850 transactions a month to equate to the same cost as a FTE would, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so what we found out really quickly was the machines were doing way more than 850 transactions. So much so that we're having machines do 4,500 transactions a month, which is even 2,000 more than what we expected an FTE to do. So the efficiencies gained from the machines quickly came to fruition. We saw that relatively quickly. And so we were transitioning from a transaction-focused success metric to a engagement level. So how do we take the machines to the next level in the ITM so that we can engage with members with different products, services, marketing offers at the front line, the point of contact, versus just transactional success? Because the transactional success you recognize so quickly. It happens almost immediately.
And so, there are a couple different products out there. So I'm sure when you did your research, talk a little bit about, the difference between maybe being reliant on more video teller interaction and the ability to build out that infrastructure versus, hey, doing a core integration to Scimitar, and how many of your transactions now flow through in self-service as opposed to needing that human interaction. I think that's one of your metrics you track, is how many human transactions are completed versus automated, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So we looked at the two models. There was one model where you could do the video teller and staff up a call center. We didn't like that from an efficiency standpoint. So we wanted to be self-service as much as possible. And so 97% of the transactions that come through the machine are self-service. And it can be lower than that. So part of that and part of the journey we were talking about earlier is we're working to improve our processes so that we can allow the members to self-serve on adjusting a check amount or something like that. So we're working to even drop that 3% of transactions that a video teller is required down to even lower. So we think there's still even margin there to make it even more efficient. What we have noticed in, I'd say, the last 6 months is the ITMs do more transactions for our institution than tellers do. So we have actually peaked that. And it is the margin of the machines, the ITMs doing transactions, is significantly outpacing that the tellers are doing.
So would it be fair to say, as you guys have grown, I think it was around 450 million assets when we started back in 2019 to now, I think north of 750 million in assets in I'll call that a relatively short time. It's pretty aggressive growth. Because your staff has been able to focus more on that member financial journey and increasing lending and being able to have the time versus doing the mundane transactions, do you feel like those are tied together because the ITMs are taking care of those basic level transactions?
Yeah, absolutely, I would. Because when we started this journey, we were having discussions around the universal employee. So somebody who would float between the teller line and then, the office to open accounts, do lending. And then you expected everybody to be, subject matter experts in everything that they did. And that's relatively impossible to do, to find the level of talent you need across the organization to do, multitask that way. It just wasn't. So what it's allowed us to do is not focus necessarily on the technical transaction part of it, but focus on the engagement part of it, which is one of our strategic priorities, is member engagement, and that's where we want to focus that. And so the first year we rolled out and started focusing on member engagement, the lending, we went from 1 year of submitting $10 million in loan applications at the front line to $30 million the next year, because we were able to focus on those conversations, engage with the members, and able to train to that conversation versus how do you process a withdrawal, how do you process a deposit, those type of things. So yes, it's had an impact on our organization.
So when I think about what advice would you give another credit union, maybe just now starting that journey of researching ITMs, they've heard about ITMs, a couple of objections come to mind of, all right, well, they're more expensive. Another path we could go as an institution is just to outsource ATMs in general and not have to own the asset. So when you think about the value ITMs have brought and the core integration component, I guess what advice would you give those that are trying to figure it out, 4 years after you went through the leading edge, if you will?
Yeah, so one, don't wait. If you want to call this get on the bandwagon, get on the bandwagon. Because one, you can't look at it at just it's not really a cost, it's an investment, okay? So you can't look at it as the total investment you're making. You look at it down to the transactional level, because when you calculate the numbers, it is more expensive to try to hire somebody, train somebody, get somebody benefits to process transactions than these machines can do. And by the way, the machines do it exactly the way you tell them to do it. So we've yet to have one call in for a vacation or request PTO. So the efficiency you gain by rolling out the ITM model is significant. Staffing is not getting any cheaper. The battle for talent is growing, and these machines help fill that in. So much so that when we went through COVID, we realized we needed to speed up our process of rolling out ITMs to engage with members. So get over the initial investment, because it's an investment, it's not a cost. You're going to reap your rewards significantly on these. And then from a buy-in standpoint, leadership's got to be bought in on the process. And then staff will follow after that, hands down, no question. Once they see the involvement, once you have that one member, and again, we're in rural areas in Georgia and Alabama. And so we've had members come in. Actually, one of our most rural markets, the members are begging for an ITM, and so it'll get deployed this year. So members are asking for them. They enjoy them. They love the flexibility they can have. They can come on their time to do their transactions. So a lot of I'd really call them myths, that people have or concerns about rolling out ITMs. They're just that. They're myths. Once you put the rubber to the road and execute on this, it sells itself, if you will.
Yeah, I would say some clients are thinking they need to deploy ITMs for the younger demographic. We have to appear technology forward. I have found that to be another myth, is that it's typically a lot of the middle-aged or older members that they just need to be shown and be comfortable with it, but those become some of your highest adopters. So what have you seen across your demographic band of, is it a specific group, or would you say, hey, all of our membership across all demographics have adopted now?
Yeah, so one of my favorite stories about a member is introducing them to an ITM at one of our new locations. It was a member who had fallen in the older generation, and she'd used the ITM for cash withdrawals, cash deposit, but she had a check. And in her mind, the machine wouldn't process the check. She needed a human being to process the check. And I asked her for permission. I said, "Can I show you how to use it?" And she said, "Sure." So I stepped her through the process, which again, 30 seconds. I mean, it's quick. And her response was, if I knew it was that easy, I would have been doing it the whole time. So it's the myths that are created by the staff that you have to get through and get them comfortable with it. And even the members, what they think the machine will do. But once they experience the machine and the ease of use, adoptions just shoot through the roof. Another story that I like is we were adjusting hours for one of our locations, and we were going to delay opening by 30 minutes. Well, we looked at the members who were coming in that first 30 minutes. Why are they coming into the lobby? Is it because there was a teller line at this location and the drive-through had ITMs? What we found out when we did the study was 85% of the members coming in used an ITM. We actually tracked one member who used multiple of our branches, and he came in regardless of the type of branch, and he would use the ITM if it was in the branch. But the member's behavior was they wanted to get out, they wanted to come in, maybe they talked to somebody. They would use whatever was in the lobby. So when we found out that 85% of the members, we adjusted hours. So to give staff more time for prep, to get ready for the day. The members were still being served because we had the ITMs, and so it was a no-brainer once we realized the adoption of those members. Again, going back to understanding member behavior, I think that's a long journey, really fully understanding and digging into that, but members adopt them hands down, no question.
We could probably still make the argument that we still don't understand all
No.
human
No.
behavior, right?
No.
So as we sit here in kind of our matching branded socks, if you will, my last question for you was, all right, so when people think about a partner versus a vendor, how would you describe that relationship? How has QDS been a partner more than a vendor to 5-star?
putting some thought into this question of what's a vendor versus a partner. And I think you only realize that at the point where you go through a challenge. Almost when you look at, do you have a true friend or not a true friend? Once you go through those hard times or those challenges, do they come alongside you? Do they understand your struggles, your problems? Do they help you try to solve those problems? And that's the experience we've had with QDS. Coming alongside us, helping us meet our strategic objectives. If we've had a hurdle or a struggle, they've been a partner to figure out a solution for that. They've not just come back to us and been like, well, that's good. Let us know when you figure it out, and we'll come back to the table. They've been at the table with us the whole time. So QDS, through the good times and bad times, and the struggles we may have had in deployment, whether it be employee buy-in, changes to the system, whatever it may be, QDS has shown time and time again that they're a partner, not a vendor.
So again, we greatly appreciate, I would definitely consider 5-star a tremendous success story. I believe in the last year they have crossed the 1 millionth transaction through their ITMs. They're running around 1 video teller at a time. I believe they have 2 on staff to support now 35, 40 terminals heading towards 50. So again, driving that extreme efficiency and really enabling members to have access to their accounts 23, 22 hours a day, and being able to make it convenient to serve their members when and how they can. They've continued to invest in their staff to train them up to help their members be successful on their financial journey. So Tyler, thanks again for joining us, and it's great to see you guys continue to be successful and set the pace out there for a lot of other credit unions.
Absolutely. Happy to do it and appreciate the partnership.